Hello, Divine Sunshiners. Stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, Namago.
Hello, this is a special treat. This was inspired by Bonita Wave of a Beautiful Warrior, who wanted to give a guided message to you all from her guides about what the twin flames need to know at this point in order to have union on their journey with themselves, with their person, and their world. I myself and Stephanie is a specialist in therapy. She does specializes in family counseling, and she talks about also lending how the trauma in which we hold in our bodies also can affect how we think our lives, our success in every area. She also lends her thing as far as how the ancestors and the things that we hold in our bodies affect us as well. So this is not just only a spiritual effect or influence, but it's also a mental and a body physiological effect. So sit back, listen to the conversation that we have that goes on between myself, Benita, and Stephanie. This is really rich information. I left from there last night very empowered, remembering things that I had forgotten and how I needed to reapply those things as well. So enjoy.
Okay. All right. Sunday morning, I woke up with very, very strong, heavy energy in the sacral and the root areas. I kept sending it back out because I knew that it was not my energy. It was predominantly masculine. Um, it took me a little bit to kind of differentiate whether or not it was my person or if it was collective. And I asked for clarification on that and was, informed it was collective. And I'm going to tell you, it was so strong that now I had a hysterectomy, full hysterectomy done over 5 years ago. It was so strong and so heavy that it felt like in the midst of, a very heavy flow or being in labor. I mean, that's how strong and heavy it was. Just in that area. To the point, like, where you want to go get the heating pad or climb into a hot tub or, something. When as I said, I kept, throwing it back out there, because I knew it wasn't mine to transmute. But every time I did, it's like it would come back even heavier. And what I kept getting was that, yes, I needed to put it back out there, but I needed to pay attention to it too, because it was, like with Bertina and I, we both tend to get a lot of the masculine stuff as masculine advocates, and this needs to be addressed. It needs to be, this is a time for feminine energy to be helping masculine energy, no matter where you are, along your little adventure, whether, it's contact, no contact, whether you've gotten to that point where you're like, bye, whatever. Remember the aspect of unconditional love, and bring it into your heart to, even if you don't feel like helping your masculine at this period of time, there's other masculines out there that do need some help with this. There's very heavy mother wounds that are being transmuted, very heavy trauma, particularly past life trauma wounds that resonate around sexuality. There are also wounds coming up from previous relationships that are predominantly sexual in nature. There are, whether we realize it or not, a lot of our masculines that have been affected, that have been in some way sexually abused at some point in their life, whether it was a child or an adult. And that is what they're dealing with right now. And it's very, very heavy. And the reason why it kept being put back over to me is because of the mass amount of them just crying out for help. Um, with that, I kept hearing the words in a biblical aspect, where three or more are gathered. And then I contacted Bertina and asked her, if she wouldn't mind, helping me with this, getting it out there and everything. Just something short and to the point. I want to go in and help the masculine collective to be able to clear that energy. So okay. A visualization they're showing me to simple and plain. The golden light. That is the best. That's the best way to do this, because it's going to break it up. Also asking all guardians, that's ascended masters, ancestors, and archangels. We're going to need to ask them to come in to help with this, particularly Michael, Metatron, Gabriel, Raphael. They're
Yeah, I heard Raphael say, "Hey, what about me? I'm the
yeah.
one that's healing." Yeah, she got you. Okay.
um, with that, also bringing in ancestral lines, but the thing is it's kind of, it's not, I'm not going to say difficult, but what we're going to be doing is doing a generalization, because past lives aren't the same generations of what you have now in the physical presence life, and that's primarily that's got to be the primary focus. Yes, there was stuff in this physical life now, but past life is predominantly the what the hang up is. Because it, most do not know to go back. They might be working on shadow stuff, might be working on the physical now, what's happened in their life now, but they don't know to go back and look at past lives. And if those are not cleared, it becomes a block, and you get the stagnant energy, and you get to where you don't know what to do and you don't know how to move forward. So this is our way of helping them to do that. We lead spiritually, they lead physically. So this is our way of helping them on the spiritual aspect.
Yeah, I try to tell people about that. That's a missing link there about the past. And they're like, hocus pocus, going back in the past lives. Oh, it works. It doesn't. It is a blueprinting of your soul. These things remember, you incarnate each time to learn a lesson, to either rewrite something that you did in the past life and to add on into this one. And it's certain themes, they're telling me, as you bring into each life that you want to accomplish or you want to experience. And, sometimes those things, those experiences that you ask for, they leave an imprint. They're showing me like an imprint and a stamp on you that you carry it throughout, no matter well, I got a new body, but guess what? You got the same soul. So, or as Kathy D, the meat suit. So it don't matter about this meat suit. It still got the same structure of the soul that is there. And so you need to go and clear that up. So I'm in agreement with you saying about that. I feel that I've had a lot of trauma things. The DM has had that. I know even myself, I remember, and I looked that up too, when I came in as baby, I came in with a urine infection. I had to go into the ICU unit because of that. Well, if you look back, I'm a new soul. There's no way I should have already that. When you look it up, a urine infection is a sign of saying that I had sexual trauma in other lives. And I brought that into this one. So I can understand you saying about the clearing. There's evidence. It does show up physically in the body. So with that, we need to clear that. That is coming up, these traumas all the way up, especially if you're on union. We've got to pack light, as Erica Badu said. All this stuff has got to come out in order for us to carry that union energy. It's a very light energy, and anything that's heavy like that is going to weigh it down. You know, there's some things you still got to work with. They understand it's a human body, but some of this other stuff is going to, is they saying this, is not only going to weigh it down, but it's also going to pop up like a file on a computer in your relationship that like, where the hell this come from? Where this shadow come from? And before you know it, you and your person are bucking heads. They say not even only your person, but you getting into your mission or in your abundance. This stuff from your past is going to show up because it's a blueprint, it's a default setting that is a go-to that you used to go into without you even knowing about it
Yeah.
involuntarily. So we got to clean that up. That's got to get healed, and especially from the divine masculine energies. That means how we showing up into the world, how we being a human being will be almost the divine masculine energies. That is what we got to clear because we keep on going to that default setting, that survival, this mode, and because of our ancestors too. That stuff is coming up too. Things of what was said, just over and over and over again, ingrained. Either they did it, they said it, they seen it. These things have been absorbed through the bloodlines, absorbed through the DNA, absorbed through the tissue, the marrow, and everything that they're saying. And so all of this has got to be like, I got to get rid of it. It's got to be sloughed off these things. So I'm in agreement with what you're saying. I'm adding on it, channeling to me and telling me to add on the reason why. Filling, all I'm doing is filling in the gaps for you. That's it.
Um, while I'm listening to you, there's strenuating um, regarding past lives, slavery,
Yes.
that goes not just, our timeline here, the most recent, all the way back there. Any type, Egyptian,
Galactical, because
all,
there was imprisonments too in the space.
Pallades,
Right.
um, Arcadia,
Mm-hmm.
Andromeda, Laf, it starts with an L. I'm seeing it, but I don't know. Lyphidia, but I don't think I've ever even heard of that. Lyftidia. That's what I'm
Okay.
seeing. And I'm not sure if maybe somebody else might be familiar with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
galactical. But people, we tend to focus on the most recent. But even now, those anybody that has passed within the last 50 years and come straight back, um, that is there if in a third world country or something like that. Any in over there, Iraq, Iran, areas like that,
Mm-hmm.
women degraded, segregated, um, passed on, in the last 20 years, came back, they're coming back in as children, those are things that are going to need to be worked on. Okay, but that I'm all right. I'm I'm going, they're feeding me stuff right now.
I
Um,
understand.
they like it when I open up because then I'm like, but when I kept hearing three or more, my first instinct was to contact you. My second instinct was to contact Stephanie. And I think that, and I have this feeling that she's sitting over there going, ding, 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 ding. So I think there's something that she needs to add to it. Yeah, I just feel like there's something that's popped up with her that she needs to add to. And it has something to do with psychological.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the psychological impacts are tremendous, especially when you're talking about trauma that's passed from generation or through space and time. It doesn't matter that it does leave an imprint on your brain, that it forms your brain and then you react to it. And then it leaves an imprint on your body as well. So like you saying, we embodying it, but we also feeling what our divine masculines are feeling too at the same time. So we as the feminines are cleaning up ours and theirs at the same time because
Mm-hmm.
it's twice as much. And like you said, they may not have the tools to do it, but since we have the tools to do it and we work together as a collective, we can help them clean that up on their side. So yes, it is a book called The Body Keeps the Score. So it's just not the body in our sense, it's the soul too that keeps the score. So it's up to us to try to heal those wounds and things.
Yeah. And I've been to guided that a long time ago about that 2 or 3. This healing has been coming in since I'll say even September. They're saying about that. I've been saying the healing, us coming together, why it's important for us to gather. This is interesting. This is not when this does get out into the collective, this is not a likely source of us coming. They say it's almost like a covenant, like back then they would say the witches, but us bringing in our skill sets, our gifts, our magic, MAGICK. That's a different, not the magical stuff, the witchery thing, but us coming together and bringing our energies together. This is not a likely bringing of 3 parties for that, that you would think. So that means source is saying, I'm using anybody as a channel because anybody, like I said this morning, it has the talent and you never know when you'll be called forth to bring forth whatever is needed at that moment. And that's interesting. Her skill set is about the mind, which again is helping us to understand what the mind, body, and soul. All of that together helps to align, to bring that power of 3, the alignment all together. So it is very much so right now needed. And you're saying about the trauma of this going all the way back. We forget about that some of us are not from Earth. We're just not. We're not. Some of us is from other planets too as well, and that stuff is also stardust and all those things is all made up and housed into us too. So we have a lot of clearing, especially if you're thinking about a lot of them saying the 144 of how many it is, and I'm seeing 741 means action. There's some action that needs to be taken, which is we're at the point now where some of us, this is the last life right here. And it's like, and you want to get it right. You want to have that mastery. You want to get right. And you want to unload some stuff. It's like, hell, who want to end on a note like this and say, I still didn't do this, but this is it. And so I just take on and be a guide to somebody else. You like to unload as much as possible as a light worker towards the end and say, I accomplished it all. That's it. I dropped the mic. I'm out.
Definitely.
Because I said, this is, I came in telling Ma, I said, this is hard. I forgot how hard it is. She's like, excuse me? You only 4 years old. How you gonna say something like that? I remember this. So I know in order for me to come back, it had to be something damn good.
They dangled that carrot in front of you.
They sure did. Got to be damn good because I ain't coming back for this mess. And also, last thing I forgot. Yeah, and then last thing, and with what's going on in the world is trauma, is triggering that old trauma wound about enslavement, the freedom, the being confined. So that is why it is waking up a lot of souls that say, wait a second, I haven't been here before. This was Civil War back then, slavery time. No, this was back there on that planet when I was as a Dramamine or whatever it is, or wherever, or Kate, whatever, back there, Turian. I remember this. This is back again. This is triggering something. And so now you got all this stuff coming up to the surface. That's the last thing I want to say.
You're right. I agree with that. It was an actor on TV, and he seen the murder of George Floyd last year. And I think at the time he was like 8 years old. He said he seen it in his body. He had a disassociation, like his whole body went numb. And he's like, how do an 8-year-old have that kind of response to something on TV if it never happened in his lifetime? So apparently his body and his soul was remembering from a past life, something like that, for that response to come up.
Yep. Right. Because that's just like when we get triggered onto this, that's what happens with our soul. Many they're not realizing it. And I'm so glad she brought that up, because that is literally the soul shock that we go into that spurs us. I mean, we tend to call it a trigger, but it's not. It is not a trigger. It's the most major, biggest trigger, but it is soul shock. And that's what it's the catalyst into all this. And it can be not only with, this journey or in a spiritual aspect, but in any aspect such as that, I mean, that's perfect example.
That really is one. Yeah. Even like a death of a parent out of the blue, that could be a soul shock because, like, okay, now it questions your own existence, everything like that. So, yeah, I forgot about that term. I don't use we always program to say trigger, trigger, trigger. But, some of those things is a little bit bigger than just a little trigger, like a trigger, like she said that she called me something, bitch, whatever like that. Then that would make me trigger you. But something like that, seeing somebody die, that might be a soul shock. That would be to do that. So that's a whole different caliber of a trigger. Like, oh my God, you called me that, so that's the whole different thing now too as well.
Numbers. The number 42 has been coming up for the last, started right before the 1010 event. It started about 3 weeks prior to that, which means that it was about 2 weeks prior to the last separation from reunion. And I couldn't figure out what it was. When it was finally revealed to me what it was, what they were trying to get across was that it was the masculine energy, the triggering of awakening and awareness through a vast majority of them. Now, that's not saying, okay, that they're going to kind of like see through the tunnel vision and say, yay, let's go. Because no, I'm not even going to speak that on. How sometimes they can be, which I can't say nothing because 25 years of, yeah. But either way, there, when you said 741 earlier, it's like they were reminding me of that. The reason why they were bringing that back to me, wanted me to have the awareness of it, was because it reduces to 6, and that brings back that the past life and the childhood. We need to go in, because a lot of us tend to not do it, or we'll do it a little bit and then we'll stop doing it. We need to go in and nurture our person's child, not just our own. Whether it's, go sit on a swing with them, or, put your child with their child, or even if you don't know what they look like as a child, it doesn't matter, because all you're seeing is their soul. And that's been conveyed over and over for the last month, that we need to focus on our person's child, their inner child, because that's where they're struggling at. That it all blends together. If they're having trouble, with dealing with the inner child, then that goes on to the past lives, and everything else. It all kind of just rolls into one. So yes, we need to go swing with your person's child. Go in and use that imagery. Find something, a bit. This is what I do. This when I go to bed at night, I have my Google Mini, and I say, play Rain and Pianos, and for 20 minutes we dance. I just pull them in, and we dance, and I'll do it at different stages, 4 or 5 years old, 12, 13, and we just dance. And some of it's, not even like the slow, piano dance. Some of it's just stupid, goofy, but that's what I've tended to do. Even though I've pulled back and pulled my energy back, like really, really pulled back, that's one thing that I've still kept doing, because his adult self might not need me at this moment, but his child inside does. And we've got to remember that.
Interesting, because I think Cassidy for Twin Flames 1111, in one of her things that she has as a meditation, as far as union, and that she has, is a piece there where you go into this garden, and in the garden you go for the inner child to go heal that. So you go to the inner child, and you talk to the inner child yourself first. And then if it's something that that the inner child needs or wants, you talk to it. It was a bad experience. You put that bad experience in this box, and then you blow it up. Then after you have done that, you tell your inner child, let's go over and visit your divine masculine's little child. You go by yourself as an adult because you're like the adult. So you go over there in your mind to the other side of the fountain and say, okay, stay right here. Let's say little Bertina, stay right here. I'm going to go talk to little D. I almost said his name. So I go over there. I said to him. So I go talk to him, say, hey, what's happening? Hi. You know, you can kind of gauge the way he is as a little child to you, kind of tells you what's kind of going on with your DM as well. And that's kind of what some things you can see within yourself too. So you go talk to him, see what things kind of gauge with him, see if there's anything that at the moment he wants to get rid of. He might throw it into this little, I think it's a cardboard box. You do it, you blow it up, and then you tell him, okay, at this time, would you like to go meet the younger version of me? And so, you know, they'll say, I can see him. He said, I'm doing it two ways at the same time. So I'm bringing little him over to little me. And so they're together. So you kind of sit back because you look and you gauge at the interaction that's going on between the little you and the little him. And then that kind of tells you what's going inwardly, what's the battle between you two as well. And so like if he's like one's a little apprehensive, one is like, leave me alone. Like, oh, okay, the DM part of you is not accepting as the little child in him is not accepting or whatever like that. Or do they take to each other and embrace? Okay, well, we kind of in union. We're doing pretty well if both of us are accepted at that age. So at that stage. So, you know, you do that and then you walk in, you come in and you talk to both of them, kind of get a gauge, let them talk to you about what things are going on, fears, what's the next step that maybe you could do to help both of them to get into union as adults. You know, you have that talk with them. And then also you also ask them, is there anything that you can do as an adult for them to thank them for taking out the time for doing that? So like my little inner child would say, I want ice cream. Can you give me some ice cream? Or I want to make some cookies. So that would be a way of thinking. And so that'll be a way that each time when you go get ice cream or you have cookies, that's a way to reward you, the little, like they say, the little inner child. That's your little playtime with you, your little inner child. So I mean, I haven't done that in a while. You just reminded me that might help folks too, as well. But it was a very great exercise because I know at that time it was a lot of like he would be shy or I would be shy as a little kid, and that would let me know that within me I'm not as open as I think I am to him. I haven't done that now. It probably would be pretty different, but that's a good thing about that. We keep on forgetting about that's another ace in the hole, as I call it, or another resource or tool that we can use. We don't think about ourselves, but now you say I could go. We don't even use their higher self either, because I'll be a thing that's saying that we don't use that. We kind of scared to go over there like I stay on my side, you stay on your side, but you go talk to them. I've been using that more here lately, but to use the inner child, oh Lord, I'm like, here's another little toolbox, a toy I can play with now to really see what's going on the other side. Hey, it really
using their higher self. Oh my gosh, I kid you not. Okay, like I said, feminine leads spiritual, masculine leads physical. Okay, and that is it can be specifically just in general. Let me tell you, a few months back, I was trying to pull up an old, you know, those little fences, the little cute little fancy fences. They got the little peaks in them like this, and they got the peaks at the bottom, and you kind of like hammer them down into the ground. My mom had some in there that had been in the ground for probably about 10 years. And on top of it, there was wood like hammered onto it, or so I don't know who put it in there. They didn't want it to go nowhere. Either way, it needed to come up. And I physically did not have the strength to do it. And I remember getting so aggravated, and I'm trying to dig it, and I needed to get this done for her. And I remember sitting down. I had a chair over there, and I just sat down in front of it, and I was like, and something just said, ask him for help. So I was like, all right. You know, called him in. I was like, I need help with this. It was done in 10 minutes. It's like it's a shift came over me. I could feel it. When I'm driving, I've noticed because before 2 years ago, panic when it come to driving. Now I've been driving Lyft and everything else, but one of the things is before I do it, I call him in. I call him my navigator, and I let him handle that part. You know, and it's amazing the things that we can do when we work with their higher self. We often just overlook it.
Amazing things can happen when you do have them and you talk to their higher self. And I think right now it has been extremely thin. Like if you have not done it, I would say this is a very great time for you to try it, talking to their higher self right now and asking them for assistance for things. This is a great time, very good time for you to do it. It's saturated for you to be able to do that.
Well, I'm gonna have to work that out. I'm gonna have to start doing that. I don't ask him for help like that. I might have a thought, but I don't ever like reach out and be like, "Hey, I need some help."
Oh yeah, most definitely. Please do. I recommend that. Highly recommend that. To do that and ask them, right? Say, okay, I don't. No, this is not my forte. Doing this, adding this math stuff. I need you to step right on in here and help me with this. Yes, they can. They can. I've even told them they like, yeah. What I do.
It's funny too, because when we started communicating again back in August, I even told him, all the time, the different times, and see, like whenever I'd go over there, and he would say, before like real communication or whatnot, he'd be like, be careful out there. And I'm like, of course, you're my navigator. Got to be careful, and never, he'd kind of like look at me like I was nuts.
Right.
And when we started communicating, I explained to him all the little, there's little things, the penguins, the navigating thing, all the different things. And I remember he just kind of, and I could see, the things going through his head, sitting there like, And believe it or not, I even if they're unaware, I think they call our higher selves in because they don't have as much awareness of it. So that's what they're working with. They're working with our higher self.
Higher self, right.
As we have the awareness, so we tend to not do it as much.
Right.
Yeah. I really think they work with our higher self more than what
we then they know. Right. They like that. It's called. They just told me. It's called something told me. That's us. Right. Something told me. Yeah, that's something me. No. They don't told you nothing.
That little bird. Right. Before we start doing what I want to do with the clearing.
Okay.
Stephanie, do you have anything that they're bringing to you? I just really feel like there's something that's more that's being brought to you. But I know you can be shy sometimes too. I love you.
I'm not getting anything right now. I don't think I'm not getting anything. I agree with everything you're saying. That's what I'm agreeing with. I believe you giving messages that everybody should listen to because we can all benefit from it. Like anytime y'all two talk, it's like little tidbits of nuggets is dropping. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. I never thought about it like that. So if it's some message gonna pop up, it's gonna pop up. But I think right now I'm just taking it on in because it's important. It's true. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And as far as like any other things in the psychological aspect that you think we need to focus on?
It was dead on talking about how trauma can pass through lifetimes and through the body and soul. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And they think their current behaviors are their own thoughts, but it's not their own thoughts. You influenced by your families, your neighborhoods, their actions, their thoughts, their beliefs. And if you pulling it through all your generations, you pulling it up through you today. And that's what comes up out of you. And as us, as divine feminines, that's what our job is, to help to filter out that stuff and say, hey, okay, we've been doing this for a long time in this family, but going forward, we're not going to do this. This is not working. This is no longer working for us. So I think we like the change agents. That's what I call ourselves in our families. in our communities and things, we're going to start changing the trajectory and turning the page on some stuff. And if it wasn't for us being able to filter that stuff out, things will be continuing.
Okay. Yeah, that's the 444 too. Changing those foundations. Matter of fact, because this morning, there was a topic that came up with my soul sister Kathy, that she had a realization on something. So and I've had several as well regarding the holidays. So if we're having that, remember our masculines are having something similar too. That foundation. Matter of fact, I've been seeing 444 more. I saw 444 earlier. Thank you for reminding me. I see him so much. I've gotten to where I'm like, thanks, but yeah, the foundations, remembering them, and rebuilding them. So, okay.
Yeah, and especially this being holiday time, that's really when you talk about trauma. That stuff is coming over field. It's a replaying, and that's all collectively. That's almost, it's showing me like it's like a low hanging cloud that fog. Sometimes you have foggy days. And he's like, I'd be darned, is that? I mean, I can like literally see the fog low hanging. This is where this kind of energy is kind of going. You got what's happening with the pandemic. You got also the holidays coming on. That's a replaying for some people of the trauma, because maybe some of them might have passed on because of COVID or just passed on, period. So you got an extra heaviness where people are doing a lot of instant replaying. And that is, again, if you're empath and you find yourself clearing out for the collective, or you're absorbing that energy around and you're feeling some of those energies, you got to kind of watch it, because some of that stuff is not belonging to you. Some of that stuff is other people. Some of that's just out there in the world and the ethers too as well. So they keep showing me this like this gray cloud, like it's low hanging to the ground. So you got to kind of watch that too as well. That you really got to say, listen here, I'm clearing, but right now, maybe specifically, like I'm clearing for, hey, I'm clearing for me right now, what I got to deal with. You got to kind of say true. So you got to kind of like watch that. It's some extra looming energies around. So it's dealing with that. And I'm picking up also like attachments. They talk about, they say speak on cords. These cords there, I know April always say it's not about releasing it, but letting go. I listened to her name is Susan Inspired, where she was talking about that she's gotten to the point where she said she's even detached all cords from everybody. Like she's like, I'm going back to being a sovereign being, and the only person that I want to be responsible for is just me at this point. So if it's getting too much of the heaviness, this heavy cloud that I'm feeling, energies, maybe at this time, maybe it might be challenging to me. Just concentrate on you and not the other stuff. What will be, will be. But some of it is like it's a heaviness of some extra energies too as well. That might even with the divine masculine already always feels like the weight. I can feel all of a sudden right here. It's on his shoulders, that yoke. I can see like a world right here that's heavy. Already comes with it. That position or that role as the divine masculine already comes with a built-in feeling of one saying that it's in distortion, that I got a load on me. It's a load. So right now, to unload all of that other stuff or to get rid of these things is saying about, also I'm hearing it say about the cords, it's like letting go some of that stuff and just really concentrating on yourself and get back to self too as well. Because if it's becoming too much of you, because I'm hearing also we're saying about the female and that and this and all these things. So the divine masculine energies also has got to understand in the physical, he's got a lot of times a lot of burdens, and he's responsible for not only himself, but others. And that's very heavy. That's even in the male. I say it's the male and the female, but the female in some ways gets a pass in some ways because it's always according to the social entitlement that, you know, the man is supposed to provide. And if the man is not providing, that messes with them in another way. The female is, in some ways, has been now, because of women's lib, has always been one of to be taken care of, but we stopped that. So, but at the same time, you get some of those old templates, which we got, hey, those old templates that we got to kind of let go of. What I said, that we've got to let go. It's a struggle and it's a battle for that place. So that's another thing that brings it to me, another layer that we got to kind of get rid of. That templating of how a man is still
Exactly.
there too.
Yeah. You brought up two things. The cords. No, we cannot cut our cords with our person. Before anybody asks, no, because I'm telling you right now, if you try to do it, you're going to make yourself sick. Either way, we do have negative attachment cords with our person. They exist there. We can cut those. Remember, we can cut those and they will actually help. I was just told her to remind for whomever needed to know that. Second thing, what was the other thing? Oh my goodness. You brought it in and then well, if it's important, they'll bring it back to me. Either way, there was two things there, but that was the primary thing.
How males are viewed, how the old paradigm, male and the burdens.
Receiving. Okay.
Okay, I'm going.
Yeah. The feminines right now, Stephanie and I were speaking about it before we came on. Okay. It is very, very strong with the feminine energy going on right now that we are learning the beautiful art of receiving, because we have been the giver for so long. Yes, the archetype has been where the masculine or the male, physically takes care of, but we have been the traditional caregivers and everything, and now it is time. It's not that the roles need to reverse. The roles need to become balanced, and we need to learn to receive. So yes, those are two of the things that have been being brought up. Thank you. Other than that, they're wanting me to do, because what I had originally, my thought process, was just to go straight through with the golden light, but they're saying they're wanting to do the rainbow connection. They're going to shoot it with the golden light to begin with, and then we're going to connect our chakras with our person with the golden rainbow light. So, okay. Are we ready? All right. Mother Goddess, Father God, Archangels, Guides, Ascended Masters, Ancestors. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, Universe. We're coming now to help the Masculine Energy Collective to be able to clear stuck, stagnant, low vibrational energy, primarily within their lower three chakras, solar, sacral, and root. As energy, we want to house over them. We want to cover them. We want to give them the ability to work through this, to move through it, to find movement out of stagnation. And with that, all right, I want you to visualize just beautiful, brilliant gold light streaming down into your crown chakra. Let it flow down into your third eye, down into your throat, your heart chakra, your solar chakra, your sacral, your root. Let it branch then and go down into both of your legs, down into your knees, down into your ankles, down through the soles of your feet and into the ground. Let it keep going until it hits the core of the earth. Imagine that you have a jade just sitting there in the core of the earth, waiting for you to anchor onto it. And those cords of golden light wrap around it, securing you into Mother Gaia. And then they travel back up through the root, through the bottom of your feet, to your ankles, your knees, up back into your root, back to your sacral and your solar, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and up to your crown. Now let it spill out and encase you in a bubble of golden protection. Pull your person in. Imagine them standing right in front of you. Even if you don't know what they look like, you know their soul. We're going to connect our chakras to theirs with rainbow light. Beautiful, bright, brilliant rainbow light. We start with the root. Connect yours with theirs. And tell them, I bless your root chakra. Go to your sacral. Connect yours with theirs. I bless your sacral chakra. Go to your solar and connect them. I bless your solar chakra. Up to the heart chakra and connect them. I bless your heart chakra. Up to the throat. Connect them. I bless your throat chakra. Up into the third eye and connect them. I bless your third eye. And up into the crown, connect them. I bless your crown chakra. Let Michael come in, Raphael, Gabriel. Gabriel is acting as messenger between you and your counterpart. Raphael is providing the healing. Michael will cut any cords that do not, thank you, divine, thank you, universe, that no longer serve you and your counterpart. Let them work with you for a few moments. They're also wanting me to have you connect your well of dreams, which is in the back of your head, with your counterparts with rainbow light. So while the archangels are working with you, do that. Connect your well of dreams to your counterparts. I bless your well of dreams. I've got a lot of heart tugging happening right now. Like painful tugging, pulsating in my heart chakra. I'm not sure who that's for. Okay. Now we're going to pull our protective bubble back within ourselves. And we're going to send it back up out of our crown chakra, out into the world, because anything that we have working within ourselves, once we transmute it and cleared, we can send it out to the world. Cover your room, cover your house, cover your city, your state, your country, just cover the world with that protective energy that you had over yourself. Thank you, divine. Thank you, universe. And so it is.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I felt that. The drawing in, and the chords. Now, when you said about the heart, I felt something that was pinging in, on the side around in the solar plexus, area, but a little bit of the sacral, but it's more the solar plexus. I felt a ping there.
Freedom movement right there with the solar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, whatever we're feeling, it's so crazy because, you know, this hasn't been broadcast yet, but whatever we're feeling it off of somebody because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen it. And that's what's
Right.
crazy about it. I felt it and I'm like, yeah, somebody's watching, but I'm like, what? Nobody's watching yet. So,
Right. Yeah, no, we can go to the dimension.
Yeah, that's amazing how like we can help people and we haven't even, you know, touched them yet. That's, I
Yeah.
love that.
Mm-hmm. What you say, Stephanie? You say you felt something in the root?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Is that it? You want me to cut the recording? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.